on the very top of the flow, you're still going to vote affirmative for two reasons. The first is that case is a massive decided alternative, and second is that the case is a step in the right direction. I'll get to each of these on their respective flows, but I'll get to the decided alt stuff right here on case. Extend across the tickle card. That's the only thing we have to win on warming. He says that unless we reduce our emissions by 40% by 2030, then we're all going to die because of things like rising sea levels and the reduced carrying capacity of the Earth itself. So that's a reason you should vote right now, especially when there's no analysis of how the alternative would be able to resolve things like global warming in the long run. Go into the scholarship flow. I don't need to answer any of the author claims because they don't extend those through, but I'll answer the framework stuff here. But first is the knowledge production claims. Extend across the Krauss-Williams card. He says that because we use the state, that we're not necessarily a bad form of knowledge production because we're really able to change it in the future. That state knowledge is reflexive, and when we engage in it, we're then able to change it by the way that we see it. And then extend across the Boggs card. He says that objecting to the state isn't necessarily bad because then we're just sitting outside of the White House and watching everyone inside make these policies around us. But we need to act within the system to do things like shape our own policies and get people involved to change the politics around us, and that this will check against their knowledge. This will turn their knowledge production claims because there's no way the alternative would be able to solve unless we're working within the state to change the policies of the status quo. And then they make this all cards. Go on to that's the only argument that we need to win. We need to make to win the framework flow. But go on to the flow itself. First, they say there's not economic class isn't unique. This doesn't matter. We're not going for the economy flow. We're only going for the warming stuff. And then next they make this other economy argument. Scratch that too. Next they make this no internal link to jobs and manufacturing argument. Extend across the Mormon card. It says that because we price wind and solar above the current market price, that's empirically proven to get people involved, and they're then going to buy wind and solar because they can then make a profit after a couple of years. So that'll solve the manufacturing part of the argument. And then they extend this dual and chat of the argument and that global warming is racist. But I'll answer this stuff on the K flow. But if anything, even if it is racist, the fact is that you should probably prefer having people on the Earth in the first place. But then they make this extinction frame argument. But I'll get to the ontology flow on the K flow also. And then on the bottom, they make this terrorist privilege wealthy argument, but extend across the Beals card. The plan is actually the opposite of this because it allows people in the middle and the lower classes to build solar panels and windmills in their backyard. So that'll they would then also be able to make a profit off this, and that's empirically proven that a fit is better for those type of people. Go on to energy justice. This is where I'm going to win. This is where I'm going to win the case. Is a step in the right direction flow. Extend across my analysis from the Beals card before that says that we get lower class and middle class people on board, which means that they're they then can stop following the will of the omnipotent energy utilities, and they then don't have to follow the will of that. And the second part of that is that it gets people more involved because they see how the nature around them works and how they as energy producers then affect the world around them. So that means people get more in touch with the nature, and also that means that they won't be thought of as discardable because they will also have energy as well. There's no more of the energy apartheid that they talk about when everyone is able to have infinite amounts of energy from things like wind and solar. So if anything, especially when there's no alternative analysis in Q&R, that means the case would be able to fit right there as the first step in that. So that'll check against any offense from the links in the first place. But then the second argument is that even if they do and all the links will still win, that you should prefer global warming for the ontology debate. Extend across the Robbins card. There's 2 points to this. First is that we need to actually have people on the Earth in the first place. The argument that I made on the global warming flow, you can crossify that right down there. And the second is that facing extinction is key to changing in the first place. When we see our mortality and see how precious the life that we have on the world around us is, that then leads us to do things like act more ethically because we appreciate other people around us and we appreciate the life that we have on this world in the first place. They only make a couple of arguments here, and the first is that I'll answer these right now. First is that they make this infinite regress argument, but then that's relevant. They didn't extend any standards that were impacts in the first place. And if anything, my education claims that I made on the author's flow will check back against this because there's no way that one author would be able to write all this stuff, and then they make this predictions bad argument. But we're not a prediction. Global warming is happening right now. It's 100% proven that both Mormon and Tickle say this. It's not that it's going to happen unless we stop this right now. And then on the bottom they make this. They make these. They make these new energy crisis arguments, but the fact is that there won't be new energy crisis when we have infinite energy coming from with the wind and the sun. That doesn't run out. People aren't going to fight over new energy because the same amount is coming back each and every day. So there's no reason to fight for in the first place. And if anything, even if companies do end up fighting for new resources, the fact is that they're going to fight to make better solar panels and more efficient windmills. So if anything, that's a better form of new energy crisis. And then next they make this turns the economy argument, but that's empirically not true. If anything, that would better the economy because that means more profits for these companies and more profits for the people as they buy more and more fit products and contribute more and more energy to the grid. And then they make this depoliticization argument about it. The Boggs card will turn this. The Boggs card will turn this because it's empirically proven that when we draw from the state cross-biome analysis from before, and then they make this predictions argument, just cross-biome analysis from above about how global warming is not a prediction, it's empirically proven, and then they make this intervention into the knowledge of the economy. But again, the Boggs card will probably check against any offense from this in the first place, and if anything, we're able to solve for the knowledge. We're able to solve for the knowledge of the status quo economy. As I said, just cross by the Beals card about how we create a better form of that, and also to even if they do and all that, the fact is that because they gave no analysis of the alternative in the 2 hour, how they'd be able to solve for global warming. That's probably still a reason why you're going to vote for the affirmative. The first thing is that they're not able to solve for global warming because that even if we do start to respect the people around us, that doesn't mean they're gonna get energy. They're just going to keep using fossil fuels and stuff like that. And the second part is that they're not even able to solve for their own impacts. I'm sure we give some people energy, but the fact is when we're still using fossil fuels and the current status quo economy, we're eventually going to end up just killing the same amount of people. Vote affirmative.